Hello again, Craig from Liberty Bell Beekeepers. So I'm back here at Liberty Bell Beekeepers World Headquarters. We're in Tacony section of Philadelphia, and this is Liberty Bell Beekeepers. So my beekeeping journey started down here on this deck. I have about 12 to 15 hives active on that surface. I have some gardens down here, rain collection. And up here on the roof is the bulk of the bees. I don't know how many active colonies I have up here right now. I haven't done a count. I sold some bees, got some more bees. I haven't been through them in a week or two with all the rain. But this is Liberty Bell Beekeepers. So typically I have 4 colonies per pallet. That does vary from time to time throughout the year. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Most of these bees are bees that have come from removals over the year or over the years, and a lot of them are splits, meaning they're bees that I had that we changed or that we divided to make more bees. Once I sell bees, I have to replenish my stock because I do sell bees to new beekeepers. I have a few hives up here that are custom hives. I built these myself. They're unique, and they're essentially a collection of hives that I don't manage. They are left to their own devices to survive on their own, and from them I collect the swarms that they create. It's meant to act as kind of a placebo group amongst my other bees. But right now we're looking at the bees that we just removed that you guys came and filmed. So what we're going to do is transfer the bees into one of these hives. So I have my bees in the container here from the removal. We have our combs, and I got a bunch of empty new frames here. So how this works, let's set this up here amongst my mess. So all these combs that were in the space will be used. Most of the material will be used. So what I'll do is I will take this comb that was removed and I will put it into a frame. Now it doesn't exactly fit, so we'll make some cuts and add some comb to this in order to make sure that it fits properly into this comb. So I'll take another piece of comb and I'm just going to make a cut. Set that piece to the side. We'll add some rubber bands to hold it in place. So these rubber bands are pretty dry rotted. So essentially we can create a frame with rubber bands, and that will support the comb until the bees reattach it with new wax to the remainder of the frame. So I'll then take that frame, and add it to my box, and we're going to repeat that process until all of our comb is in frames. Sometimes in certain situations the frames or the comb fits very nicely into the frames. I do barely have to do any cutting to it. In situations where I'm in a floor joist, in a standard house floor joist, the material is almost the exact same size as the frame. So this process is very easy. If I'm careful and I cut this material, if I cut this comb nicely enough, I don't need very many rubber bands at all for it to stay put. And again, the bees will fill the rest of this space in with wax. Again, we'll repeat the process. Now in this process, we do lose some of this brood. That's the baby bees. We do lose some of it because it doesn't fit exactly into the frames. And I have to cut portions of it away, but the bees will replenish it, and there's still 95% of the comb is intact and able to continue on once the bees are added to it. They just kind of get back to work after I get done with this process. We have some bees that are born on the way here. They were being born today during the removal process. And we do inevitably end up losing some of this comb. Some of the bees are destroyed or killed during the process, and that's just a part of the business. It's nothing that I can't manage, nothing that the bees can't manage. Once they are reestablished in the hive, they'll clean up the mess that I made, and they will repair this comb, and they will make it to live another day, because the majority of the bees have been saved. The majority of the comb has been salvaged. These rubber bands are not great. And the rubber bands will eventually get chewed by the bees, and they'll drag them out of the hive. I can show you an example of that with another hive here momentarily. Hey. So those combs were enough to fill 5 frames, which is good because I keep most of the bees in 5-frame hives, which we refer to as nukes or nucleus. Typical beekeeping hives are 8 or 10 frames. The nucleus hive is a kind of a, how beekeepers buy bees. They buy them in 5 frames with a mated queen and an active brood just like this. Given my circumstances, I sell bees, and I have so many in such a small place, I keep them in a smaller orientation. So now, I have the bees set in, or the combs set in place in the hive where the hive's going to live from now on. The next phase is we're going to take our queen, who we captured in a clip. We're going to shake the bees off, and we're going to put her into this marking cage. Beekeepers, we mark our queens, not everybody, but I mark the queens. There's a 5-color code pattern that we use to signify the year that this queen was born. This year is blue for 2025. It's a water-based paint marker, so that way I know that this queen was born this year. It also makes her easy to identify within the hive. beekeepers will do this differently. I try to do this as quickly as possible. So I will take this colony in its collection cage. That happens all the time. We'll take this colony in its collection cage. With my queen separate, I'm going to remove 2 or 3 of these frames. I'm going to shake my bees to the bottom of the cage. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to just dump most of the bees right into this box. Then I'll gently add these frames. The bees will start to move up and onto them. Once the bees settle a little bit and the frames settle down, we're going to add our lid. In this case, I'm adding a feeder box. This I'm going to give them some sugar syrup because they are very dry. So I'm going to take my queen here and I'm going to let her walk in. Where is she? Let her walk into the hive. That will get and keep all of the bees situated. And I'll set my collection cage right next to the hive. And that will allow the remainder of the bees in there. We'll get the signal from these bees that are fanning to say, okay, our queen's here, our brood's here, we are safe, this is home. And that's the transfer process for honeybee removal. So this is a colony that I removed the end in mid-May. You can see this pile of rubber bands. They drug that out of the inside of this box. Their combs were rubber banded in and they removed all of that material from their colony. So that's it. That's all she wrote for transfer of the honeybees from today's removal. I hope you enjoyed that. And check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and have a great day.